Hey, this is Michelle, and I want to thank you for joining me for the YouTube Advent Hop. This is day 3, and if you're not already a member of the Facebook group, Live Art Journaling and Self-Development, please make sure you go and join that. There's a link below. And for my video, I just want to include some ways for people to art journal without spending a lot of money, because art journaling is super therapeutic for me. I've said that before, but in case you're new to my channel, it's just very beneficial for my well-being and my frame of mind. So the first thing that I wanted to say is you can use anything for an art journal. It can be a book from the thrift store, it can be a kid's book, it doesn't matter. You can use old letters if you have a way to get that, or even just a stamp on sale, a script stamp, and just use it. I like to use it kind of randomly, not press it down and have perfection, but I just put it on some old, this is an eco dye print that did not turn out. So I just printed over top of it and I'm using that kind of like a letter. And my journal is just a handmade journal that I made out of just paper scraps. As you can see on the left side, there's like a little custom sheet from something that I bought. So I'm just putting that down with some Yoo-Hoo glue stick. Again, you can use any glue stick that you want. They even have them at dollar stores or cheap stores. I'm not sure if you're in another country if you have dollar stores, but we have them all over in the States. So these are just random pieces of paper. Most of the stuff is usually lying around my desk, but if you get an old thrift book, put your extra paint in there and use those pieces as collage for your pages. And then this is just a big eraser that I carved my own stamp out of, and they're just little like dots, almost like raindrops. I'm not sure what they are, but it's just basically for texture and to include into the background. And then this is just some really cheap paint from Walmart. I believe it's $1.60. What I love about it is that it's chalk paint, so it's super matte and it dries really fast. I'm just using a cheap plastic palette knife and kind of putting it randomly here and there. I like the I like where it skips and there's bits of white and bits of whatever's left. I did get a little thick though, so I'm just using a piece of scrap punchinella that someone sent me, and you can get those on Etsy for just a couple of dollars, or maybe you have a store that has them. This is also some cheap paint from Target. Most of the paints that I'm using are under $2, so just whatever you have on hand. Again, I'm just using a palette knife and moving that around the page. This is just like a little wooden pog that I got at a thrift store. They threw it in my bag on my way out, and so I'm just going to use it in my page because, again, use what you have on hand. Don't buy special things. You can make anything work in your journal. So I just put some of the paint on there, and then I'm going through my hand carved stamps and checking to see, it kind of reminded me of a flower. And then I also made some handmade modeling paste, and I'll put the link for that below as well, but I put that on the top just for some texture. And then I'm going to use, what I'm using to press into the modeling paste is just the bottom of some candy that I got for my girls for Christmas. It's that Ferrero Rocher, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. I'm sure I slaughtered it. But like I said, use packaging, use whatever. You don't need to spend a lot of money on stencils or any supplies. There's things to be had all over. So I just pressed that in and dried it. And now I'm using some Folkart paint. I believe it's called Autumn Harvest. I'll have all the links to the supplies below though. It's just a really pretty color for this time of year. And I watered it down a little bit because I kind of wanted it to set in the deeper spots so that you could see the imprint that I pressed into it a little better. And then I just added some chestnut and I think it's apple barrel paint just to darken it up a little bit. And then that is an old oven liner that I use to glue on and sometimes for a palette. And I just put the excess on my page too and dried it real quick. And then I'm using the Magenta ink again and testing out if I'm going to stamp on my page or not. And I don't really like that, but you never know until you try. So I'm just going to take some heavy matte gel and adhere that. That works great for adhering thicker things. And then I pulled off a little bit of the modeling paste, I think, or the paint, so I'm just adding a little bit back onto it. And then this is a food ball pen, and they're also very inexpensive on Amazon. I will have it linked below. Get it wherever you find them. They're only a couple bucks. I think the 3-pack is like $6 on Amazon, but I'll have that linked below. And so I just kind of drew, the inside reminded me a little bit of a sunflower, which the colors are not that at all, but you know, they can be whatever color we want. So then I just took this, it's kind of a magenta color, and put that down. And again, I watered the paint down a little bit because, I believe I did, because I like when the colors below kind of push through and you can see like variation. But again, it's just kind of haphazard and here and there. It does not have to be perfect because it's in our art journal and it's for us, and we can share it or we don't have to. Kind of like when you write in your journal. And then I'm just adding a little bit over on the other side because I wanted to bring your eye around to the other side of the page as well. And then I also put a little bit of the autumn harvest there as well. I also put a little bit in the center of the flower as well, just to bring the color around all over. And I know a lot of people use the Tim Holtz chit chat stickers and small talk stickers, but if you don't have those, go to your local thrift store and get a large print book, and you can find the neatest words in there. And it never fails. If I just skim through the pages a little bit, the perfect word always jumps out at me. As you can tell, this is well loved and has a lot of missing pages and a lot of missing text, but I do eventually find the word I'm looking for, and that word is freedom. And I think that that's a perfect word for what art is for me. I'm definitely not about perfection, and it's, like I said, it's totally therapeutic for me. I'm a much happier person when I art, and that's why I stopped worrying about what people thought about my art and just did it for me. And there's freedom in that, tons of freedom. This is just a little piece of rusty material. I think it's flour sack. I use it a lot. And I'm just going to glue that down on top of the center, on top of that little pog or whatever you want to call it. And I'm just using my Yoo-Hoo glue stick again on top of that oven liner. And I'm going to put that on the center, and then I'm going to put the word freedom on top of it. And then I'm going to do something that I don't like at all. I start to write on the opposite page, art is. And I didn't like that at all. But again, it's just an art journal, so I'm just going to peel it off and repair it. I almost edited this part out, and I thought, no, it's good for people to see. So I just took another scrap that was on my desk because my desk is a mess and I have lots of scraps. So I'm just taking some little pieces and adhering those down with my Yoo-Hoo glue stick. And then I'm also going to take that white paint again and just kind of use my palette knife just to make everything come together. And then I always love to add things to hang off the edge. You can see other pages where I have little bits hanging off the edge, and I love that. I love to use fiber and material onto my pages. So that was a little piece of lace left over, a little piece of the rusty flour sack, and then I'm not sure what that other piece of material is, but it was in my local craft store, Hobby Lobby, and I thought it was neat. So I just sewed down the middle of those 3 pieces, and then I'm using the heavy matte gel medium to adhere that to my page. Now, if you aren't a member of the Facebook group, please make sure you go and join that page and then follow along and subscribe to all of the YouTubers, and there will be prizes at the end. So it's a great opportunity to find some new YouTubers and to learn some little tips and tricks. So then I took and I wrote Artist Freedom for Me on the other page, and I like that better. So just added a little bit of scribbles and a little heart. Again, thank you so much for watching. Would love it if you commented, gave me any tips, and make sure you check out everyone else's. Thanks so much. Bye.